Welcome to this moment, to your breath. Start with feeling the sensations coming in and out of your either nose or mouth if your nose is congested. Notice if there's a different temperature from the air coming in to your nose. And then out through your nose. Notice as you breathe in if your belly gets bigger. Notice when you breathe out, maybe your shoulders relax, but your diaphragm contracts. That that part underneath your breastbone, underneath your solar plexus. Breathe in and settle yourself, calm yourself, and feel what community feels like in your body. You're surrounded at one big table. That table may just have one person there, and then there's a computer set up on it. Or a telephone. And then imagine yourself surrounded by a community. People very different from you in some ways, and then have a commonality, which is hard to even pick out sometimes. What do I have in common with this community? Curious. I bet there is something I have in common with them. I know one of us on the call lives with a community, a co-housing community, and I imagine that they are very different from some of the people in their community. At times it must be very difficult to be curious about why are they here and why do they annoy me so much? I don't know. I'm using that as an example for my community. There's a dog community, right? You see them walking the dog. There's a community of people that I actually enjoy talking to for more than a minute besides anything about their dog, I'm embarrassed to say. Even within this community. And keep coming back, Barbara and you, to the community inside yourself. Who's wrestling inside there for their voice being heard? For you to survive, for me to survive. Sometimes they're just screaming, for God's sake, Barbara, straighten up. I'm laughing because some people would call me, I'm not going to say, people with different strategies for peace, right? So there's this inner community, and they're worried. I'm worried about you, for God's sake. How could you forget people in your schedule? Your living depends on that. Your paying your rent depends on that. Barbara Escher, right? I don't know. So what is your inner community yelling at you for? What is the... I think you have something in common with that part of your community. I think you both want to survive. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. So I'm going back and forth now between my outer community and my inner community. What does my outer community tell me about my inner community? The people in my community that arrive when I set my laptop up and sit on a Zoom link sometimes. If it's alive for them, I certainly don't want them coming if it's not. And so my different communities, inner and outer. And I'm thinking of the world community now with a big table, kind of this circular table wrapping around the whole thing. I have to admit, I would like that table to be a little closer to the equator. Oh gosh, as it wraps around, if I'm going to sit at different parts on that table. Sorry for you that are further away from me on the equator. I want you at the table too. Somehow, this table, like encompassing the whole world. This is my community, and what do I have common in with you? Well, look at a needs list if you want to know what you have in common with the world community. And we can get more specific here. Well, survival, I think, is on the needs list. Food, water, shelter. I don't know if sleep is I think rest is on the list too. So this is what I have in common with my world community. There's some other things that I have in common too, is that I get triggered when things are threatened. I get triggered when somebody's not curious about me, and heaven forbid that I actually be curious about that, right? And why would that be? Maybe there's systems that are set up so that you are not meant to be curious about me. That would upset the whole balance of the way the world's set up, right? So I'm going back and forth. I'm breathing into my inner community and saying, oh, honey, you've been in power for a long time. Why don't you sit here and let this part of me take over for a while. You must be exhausted, my beloved. And my community physically that I see around me. And so many others. So many others. I'm so grateful for. I want to keep breathing into what's going on in my inner world. What do I have control over to actually change the outer world? My kids. People younger than me. I say my kids like, yeah, my kids. What do I have when I'm afraid of their well-being? I'm afraid that with their decision making, I'm afraid of like, really? Is that's okay with me, but are other people going to be okay with that? Well, okay, let's give it a try. I don't have any control over you. It's easier, actually, that's the blessing of having kids that are over 18. It's easier to say, I don't have any control over you. Although the community created by our younger people that are in the world we also don't have any control over. It's kind of an illusion. Again, it's part of the way the system is set up. That those people believe that they don't have any power. Some don't believe that, but they do. Happy to bring in our community of kids. How is it to be in a world with people that are under 18 that are told that they have no power? Good luck with that. Different ages they believe it, others they don't. Breathing in, inner community. Breathing out. How do we make a difference in the world? How do we care for each other? The people that are told that they don't have power, and the ones inside of us that are young. Still, thank you so much.